Melania Trump has been an enigmatic and intriguing personality throughout her life. People have wondered about her innermost thoughts, motives, and sentiments ever since she was a model and into her position as First Lady. Melania Trump has finally spoken out, confirming a long-rumored fact, and she is 54 years old. How does she intend to explain it? What does it mean for our understanding of her? Be sure to tune in to find out. Melania Trump, formerly known as Melania Trump, was born on April 26, 1970, in Novo Mesto, Yugoslavia, which is now in Slovenia. Growing up, she was shaped by her family's modest but privileged status within communist society. Her dad, Viktor Trump, worked his way up from driver to salesperson for a state-owned auto parts company. He likely advanced in his career thanks to his connections with the Yugoslav League of Communists, the country's preeminent political party. Naselje Heroja Maroka was the family's state-run housing complex, and Melanie's mom, Amalia, was a pattern creator for the Sevnica-based children's wear firm Jutranjka. Melanie and her elder sister Inez likely never met Denis Sigelnyaks, Melanie's older half-brother from her father's previous marriage. Regardless of the results of the paternity test, her father continued to deny his relationship. Despite his membership in the Communist Party of Yugoslavia, which advocated atheism, her father discreetly had his children christened as Catholics, as was customary in that era. They were quite fortunate. The Trump family, in contrast to many in communist nations, they often traversed Europe, and their apartment stood out from the others owing to the striking contrast between the muted decor of the day and the apartment's brightly colored walls. Melanie made her passion in style known at a young age. She went to fashion shows as a kid, showcasing children's wear created by the local firm where her mom worked in Sevnica, a town famous for its textile industry. The significance of these events warranted allowing pupils to skip class in order to participate. Drawing inspiration from her mother's work, Melanie began to design and construct her own clothing, displaying an innate talent for style that would come to characterize her career. Along with her diligent studies, she was able to secure the position of school treasurer. Sevnica was the new home for Melanie's family when she was a teenager. The house had 2 stories. Exposure to American culture, particularly during Ronald Reagan's presidency and the 1985 debut of CNN International, began to alter her outlook. She relocated to Ljubljana to enroll at the Secondary School for Design and Photography when she was 15 years old, marking the beginning of her journey toward a profession in fashion. She and her sister Inez relocated to Ljubljana during her first year, and she rode the train to the city every day from Sevnica. Melanie decided to continue her education in architecture and civil geodetic engineering after graduating, and enrolled in the programs at the University of Ljubljana. However, she left after just a few months as she was unable to complete her degree. Melanie broke into the modeling industry when she was 16 years old, discovered by Stane Jerko, a Slovenian fashion photographer. She had other plans than being a model. She wanted to be a fashion designer. She won a modeling contest put on by the Italian firm Cinecita, and her prize was a role in a film. However, once an unwanted producer approached her, she declined the opportunity. As she began to travel throughout Europe in search of modeling jobs, Melanie Trump changed her name to Melania Trump. Aside from a handful of families, she severed links with the majority of her Slovenian acquaintances at this time. A watershed moment came in 1992 when Melanie placed second in the Gianna magazine Look of the Year competition, which awarded worldwide modeling contracts to the top 3 contestants. She began her career in Milan with RVR Reclaim, but she soon parted ways with the agency. Melania continued her European modeling tour during the next years, culminating in a notable 1993 role as the first female U.S. president. When she was in her early 20s, she and her roommate Victoria Silvstedt made Paris their permanent residence. Throughout Melanie's career in Milan and Paris, she crossed paths with influential figures in the fashion industry. While on a scouting tour of Europe in 1995, she crossed up with Paolo Zampoli, co-owner of Metropolitan Models. Melania Trump's friend Zampoli, who would go on to marry Donald Trump, would remain an influential figure in her life for a long time, playing a key role in her decision to go to the U.S. and rise in the modeling industry. Paolo Zampoli, a major figure in the fashion industry, pledged to represent Melania Trump as a model and was a major factor in her decision to go to the United States. Followed Zampoli's advice and relocated to Manhattan in 1996 at the age of 26, which is considered older for most aspiring models. In addition to advising her to go headfirst into the fashion industry, Zampoli introduced her to powerful individuals in the industry. At Union Square's Zeckendorf Towers, he arranged for her to live with photographer Matthew Attanian. In order for Zampoli to focus on beginning her career, her agency took the rent out of her paycheck. Knaus made fleeting, irregular trips back to her home country after settling in the U.S. She began leading a regimented lifestyle, cutting out sugar and processed foods and shunning the social events frequented by her fellow models. Her low-key social life was Knaus's claim to fame. Instead of going out on the town like other fashion industry girls, she opted to remain in. In a sexually graphic photo shoot for the French men's magazine Max in 1997, Knaus was paired with another female model. With the intention of revealing more than just her wealth, photographer Alexandre Allais de Basseville captured the images. Despite the initial lack of interest, the photos resurfaced in 2016 after being published by the New York Post. While in the United States, Knaus was unable to lawfully work for the first few weeks due to her travel visa. Regardless, she landed 10 modeling jobs, each earning about $20,000. She was able to lawfully work in the country after receiving an H-1B visa. The Camel cigarette ad that Ellen von Unworth put her in was her big break. An opportunity presented itself to Knaus as a consequence of a rule requiring models in cigarette ads to be older than 25, which excluded many younger models but favored Knaus. The ad appeared in Rolling Stone and was prominently displayed on a billboard in Times Square. As Knaus continued to build her modeling career in New York, her roommate Attanian departed for an apartment off Park Avenue. At a party in September 1998, Zampoli met Donald Trump, a real estate expert. Trump brought Selena Middelfart, another date, to the occasion. Trump tried to get Knaus's phone number, but she refused and instead demanded that he give her his own. Surprisingly, Trump included many personal numbers in addition to his official contact. Knaus later said that by withholding her number, she avoided being treated like any other woman he had phoned. Details of their first encounter are vague at best. According to some accounts, the Kit Kat Club was the location. Still, a week after their first encounter, Knaus contacted Trump again, and the two went on a date. She believed that by being cold and uninterested in his attempts during their first interactions, she may attract his attention. She was drawn to Trump because of his temperament, which mirrored her father's, in addition to their shared appearance and age. In addition to having access to Trump's book, The Art of the Comeback, which outlined his relationship search criteria, Knaus held a press conference on September 8th to boast about her achievements, claiming to be renowned worldwide and one of the top 50 highest-paid models in the world. Additionally, she insisted that she was set to star opposite Mickey Rourke in an upcoming film. Prior to another potential cigarette advertising campaign, this unconventional form of self-promotion was intended to elevate her reputation. Nonetheless, the campaign never materialized, and the claims she made during the press conference could be verified by the reporters. Oddly enough, the Trumps said they met during New York Fashion Week not long after this news conference. On the other hand, rumors about their connection have been circulating for some time. According to several in the industry, Knaus left Trump Tower upon hearing that his ex-girlfriend Kara Young had left the building. Thus, their first relationship was short. The pair reunited a week later, however, and began making plans for their future together. Melania Knaus's life was fundamentally altered when she began dating Donald Trump, who opened new doors and brought her into the public eye. Trump's connections to the wealthy and famous opened doors that she had previously shut. Trump stood out for his generally courteous treatment of the women he linked up with. even supermodels like Knaus, in contrast to the numerous strong men who were known for abusing women. This link yielded results very immediately. Knaus, who shared her mother's deep affection for Jacqueline Kennedy, attended a banquet that October with Trump and met members of the Kennedy family. This was a significant occasion for her. As her relationship with Trump deepened, Knaus continued to model while taking on less work and devoting more time to him. She was also thrust into a level of public scrutiny she had never seen before because of her ties to Trump. After appearing on Howard Stern's show in 1999 and answering his infamously sexual questions, the two became famous. Regardless matter how divisive the interview was, it helped bring them more attention. In a move likely influenced by his history with his first wife, Ivana, with whom he had professional disputes after promoting her to an executive position in his company, Trump frequently invited Knaus to his meetings, where she was typically praised for her beauty but barred from directly participating in his business endeavors. When Trump announced his bid for the Reform Party presidential nomination in October 1999, Knaus became even more prominent. After passionately supporting his political aspirations, she told the New York Times that she would adopt a very conventional stance, similar to that of Betty Ford or Jackie Kennedy if Trump were to become president. The idea of a former model becoming the first lady piqued the imagination of the media, and Knaus began to get even more attention from tabloids. Having been one of the first models employed by Trump Model Management, the agency that Donald founded in February 1999, Knaus remained actively engaged in the fashion industry during this period. She was able to open several doors via her contact with Trump. Her appearances in various publications and advertisements were orchestrated by associates of Trump. Trump was occupied with his campaign in February, but Knaus was shown in a bikini with a large inflatable whale in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition. The photo, directed by Antoine Verglas, a friend of Zampoli's companion, further elevated her prominence. Shortly after, Verglas approached Knaus about participating in yet another project. This time, the photo would feature her in a Bond girl outfit, a risky photograph that would emphasize her in a sexualized but glamorous manner. The appearance in GQ magazine was a watershed moment in her career. Trump had lobbied for Knaus's inclusion in the magazine, featuring her in a series of sexually provocative positions, and their friendship allowed them to borrow his own Boeing 727 for the shoot. Although Trump's role in arranging the shoot was concealed at the time, her landing the contract undoubtedly impacted him, since the January issue of GQ featured provocative and daring photographs that challenged him. Another well-known photo from this period had Knaus in an Oval Office mock-up, combining her likeness with political symbols. In January of 2000, rumors began circulating that Knaus and Trump had broken up, but no one could agree on what caused the separation, and competing stories surfaced over who was the one to initiate it. A number of photos and promotional materials featuring the couple were doctored before publication to reflect the breakup, which sparked a media frenzy. The rift, however, was temporary. A couple of months down the road, they made up. Similarly, Knaus's association with Trump had a significant impact on her resident status in the U.S. In 2001, she accomplished a major milestone in her life by obtaining her green card, which granted her permanent residency. By 2002, Knaus and Trump had further solidified their relationship by moving in together at Trump Tower. Beyond private matters, Knaus had a significant role in Trump's life. When the contestants visited their apartment in April 2004, she made her debut on his game program, The Apprentice. Trump asked Knaus to be his wife on her birthday, April 26, 2004, just before they were supposed to go to the Met Gala. Since Knaus had never forced him into marriage and, in Trump's later estimation, had contributed to his recent success, he expressed more eagerness to wed her. Compared to Trump's previous marriages, Knaus was seen as a better fit. Unlike his second wife, Marla Maples, she did not stir up public scandal and lacked Ivana's drive. Knaus embodied the qualities that Trump sought in a life partner: self-assurance paired with subtle encouragement. She was so important to Trump that she even signed a prenuptial agreement without any issues. Along with Anna Wintour and Andre Leontali, Knaus went to Paris to choose a wedding gown as the big day approached. At last, she settled on a John Galliano gown. Covering Vogue in her wedding gown in the days leading up to the big day brought her fame back to the public eye. After their January 22, 2005, wedding in Palm Beach, Florida's Bethesda-by-the-Sea chapel, the happy couple toasted their union at Trump's Mar-a-Lago club, where a slew of A-listers were in attendance. Their marriage was in the spotlight, and Knaus diligently planned the gathering to celebrate. Knaus chose to keep the wedding under wraps, despite Trump's suggestion that it be shown on NBC. Melania Trump managed a life of opulence and public attention while maintaining a certain level of independence and privacy after marrying Donald Trump. Trump Tower in New York, Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster, New Jersey, and Mar-a-Lago in Florida were the three primary homes of the Trump family. To protect her privacy, Melania had a spa built on the penthouse level of Trump Tower. They were close, yet they chose separate lives and seldom spent time together. Donald Trump openly said that this passive relationship was perfect for him, after a long day, as he didn't want to go home and put effort into a relationship. Despite acknowledging Donald's demanding job and insisting that she wasn't only after his money, Melanie loved the transactional nature of their relationship. She would sometimes show up for brief appearances at events before disappearing back to their house. Tiffany Trump, who was born of Donald Trump's second marriage to Marla Maples, and Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, and Ivanka Trump, who were born of Donald's first marriage to Ivana Zelnikova, are the four children that Melanie became a stepmother to when she wed Donald. Melania had a close bond with Tiffany, who was only 6 years old when she began dating her father. Melania made an effort to make Tiffany feel welcome among her step-siblings in an effort to deepen their relationship. Melania Trump received extensive media notice due to her pregnancy with son Baron William Trump. She appeared on the cover of Vogue twice while pregnant, this time in a bikini and an open coat. While she was pregnant, she spent a lot of time with her sister in New York and her parents, who came to visit often. Melania was in charge of a nursery's construction at Trump Tower and went to a baby shower at the famous FAO Schwartz toy store, even though she asked that all the presents and toys be given to a children's hospital. Melanie gave birth to Baron on March 20, 2006. His middle name was chosen by her. Donald went with his own name, which he had previously used as a pseudonym when running his own PR firm. Melanie opted to spend more time caring for Baron and less time attending activities with her husband after he was born. That Donald would not take an active role in raising their kid was very clear. Melanie explicitly told him she didn't want him to put Baron to bed or change his diapers later on. It was her firm intention to bring up Baron by herself. Therefore, with the exception of the first few years, she did not employ nannies. The return of Donald's courting of supermodels caused Melanie to feel apprehensive, despite the fact that she was in the dark about the ladies who later came forward to say they had an affair with him. Except for occasional philanthropic work and a big appearance in an Aflac commercial, Melania Trump mostly shunned public notice after becoming a Trump. Before her husband often criticized the immigration rules, she assisted her parents through the chain migration process after becoming a U.S. citizen on July 28, 2006. Melania and her son Baron both had dual citizenship in Slovenia, in addition to their American citizenship. Melanie hardly had any acquaintances other than her parents and child, since she spent most of her time at the Trump properties. On her visits to Donald, the pair would enjoy watching their favorite films together, such as Sunset Boulevard and Gone with the Wind. As Baron became older, Melanie had more free time to focus on other things. In 2009, she launched a jewelry firm and trademarked her name, Melania. She was so cautious not to brand herself with the Trump name that she even corrected reporters who referred to her as Melania Trump. Melania handcrafted each piece, using inspiration from her 3 lifetime homes in New York, Palm Beach, and Paris. Whenever new collections were introduced, they were immediately snapped up. Melanie Mark's skincare first appeared on the scene in 2011 with a line of skincare products that included caviar. However, the brand was never launched. A dispute arose, in the corporation's view, when the goods-supplying firm, New Sunshine, changed management and voided the contract. The Trumps were very well served by one official who happened to be a family friend. Finally, the court ruled in Melanie's favor, and she was able to settle out of court. She initiated legal action by suing the company for $50 million in unpaid wages. Melania devoted herself fully to her children and ultimately left her jewelry company after this. In the 2016 presidential race, Donald Trump's decision to run was heavily impacted by Melania Trump. Melanie convinced him to commit to the campaign or stop talking about it, even though he had a lifelong interest in the topic. Even though Melanie was under no obligation to participate actively in the campaign, she made it clear when it began that she would not. With her own set of guidelines in place, she began to turn up only when she felt the need. This tactic deviated from the norm of wives of presidential candidates being more involved in campaigns. Melania's focus on their son Barron was the primary reason for her little engagement in the campaign. When asked why she seldom appeared in public, she often cited her desire to remain at home with him. However, she could not help but let the campaign influence her day-to-day life. Security concerns began to dominate her vacation plans, and she had to exercise caution while posting photos and videos online after each outing. Although Melania was an avid Instagram and Twitter user before her husband's campaign, she disappeared from the platforms entirely once he began running. Melanie was certain of Donald Trump's eventual victory, even though many doubted his chances of becoming president. While she did not approve of his occasional profanity, she disagreed with his counselors in encouraging him to listen to his gut and advise him to say what was on his mind. Melanie monitored the campaign closely from the comfort of her home, taking note of poll findings and her husband's interactions with his opponent. She kept in close contact with Donald and provided candid feedback on all occasions. Her insights and words of encouragement were much sought for, despite their remoteness. Melanie was an invaluable asset to the campaign because to her extensive modeling experience, she was already comfortable in front of the camera, so there was no need to consult a fashion consultant. She was able to maintain her composure and poise during public engagements because to her experience as a model. She believed that those who didn't know her but were seeking attention had characterized her as timid based on her gait and stance. Therefore, despite this grace, she still resisted being called such. During the campaign, her first attempts at public speaking were somewhat timid. Donald invited her to speak at events in November 2015 and February 2016, but she hardly said a few phrases each time. As part of her cautious approach to public engagement, her first scheduled speech was for April 2016. The campaign wanted Melania to be more active, but she was still careful about making public appearances. She was seen as uniquely qualified to bring Donald to life and inspire hope for the American ideal from the perspective of an immigrant. The campaign assisted Melanie in making the appearances she had chosen, with Hope Hicks serving as the primary point of contact. Melanie would be able to gauge the merit of any potential engagement if Hicks earned her trust. Donald needed Melania's assistance more in crucial swing states when she finally showed up there. Her speeches focused more on Donald's character than his policy. As a sign of her preference for Mike Pence, Melania paid visits to prominent candidates for vice president and helped choose him. A lack of ambition, in her view, made Pence less likely to oppose Donald than other candidates. Karen Pence, Pence's wife, and she did not form a strong bond since they shared few interests. Melania also had problems with the campaign. A super PAC supporting Ted Cruz produced an attack ad using a nude photo of Melania Trump from a GQ photo shoot with the slogan, "Meet Melania Trump." Coming up, you'll be the first woman. You may also lend a hand to Ted Cruz on Tuesday if you so choose. As a result, the animosity between Trump and Cruz intensified throughout the Republican primaries. The Ogle Office, a story published later in July 2016, made the first page of the New York Post, which included further nude photos of Melania. Despite the lack of impact on the campaign, Melania was so humiliated by these photos that she retreated from the public eye for 2 months. At the 2016 Republican National Convention on July 18th, Melania delivered a speech that quickly became contentious. A line from Michelle Obama's 2008 DNC address was found to have been lifted word for word into her own speech. Melania said under questioning that she had written the speech herself with little assistance. No one on Trump's staff had seen Melanie's speech in advance, which is unusual for presidential campaigns. Donald was enraged because he thought his crew had betrayed his wife. Melania took it personally and felt guilty for disappointing the campaign. Trump staff writer Meredith McIver acknowledged ownership 2 days later, saying that Melania misunderstood because she sampled parts of Obama's speech. Despite the controversy, Melania's speech offered a rare glimpse into her past as she spoke of her Slovenian family and her early days as a model. After the speech, Melania stayed out of the spotlight until the very end of the campaign. The notorious Access Hollywood video, which surfaced in October 2016, 1 month before the election, exposed a 2005 audio of Donald Trump expressing sexually suggestive remarks against females. An internal storm erupted inside Trump's campaign when this audio was made public, with early concerns centered on Melania Trump's reaction. An anonymous source said that 2 hours passed before Trump met with Melania, a clear indication of how distressed he was by the news. "You risk losing now," Melania remarked honestly. "You could have blown this for us." And when they finally talked, and then she walked out of the room. Melania allegedly advised the campaign to dismiss the discussion as locker room talk, according to Michael Cohen, Trump's former personal attorney. After the recording was released, Melania severed relations with Donald, upset that his campaign would be tarnished by his comments. She rejected the campaign's damage control strategy by refusing to sit next to Donald or appear with him in a staged setting for his apologies. On the contrary, Melania Trump's speech in favor of Donald said that the video did not show the guy she knew and accused anyone who thought he had acted inappropriately sexually of being dishonest. Melania was irritated by the increased media attention she received as a result of the incident, particularly since some portrayals of her were sympathetic. Speculation circulated on whether her decision to wear a pussy bow blouse to a presidential debate a few days later was a response to Donald's insulting comments in the audio. Melania stayed at Trump Tower with her parents for a good portion of Election Day, as the rest of her family continued campaigning outside, so that she could tenderly present her son Barron to the White House upon Donald's election. She said that she would stay in Manhattan until Barron finished his school year, to ensure Barron's wealth would be safeguarded. She renegotiated her prenuptial agreement with Donald around this time. Not only was Melania the first foreign-born First Lady, but she also became the first naturalized U.S. citizen to hold the title since Louisa Adams. She claimed fluency in many languages, but everyone could only hear her speak Slovene and English fluently. Rumors began circulating while she was away that her stepdaughter Ivanka Trump would assume the role of First Lady, after Ivanka's White House event, in which her stepmother was noticeably absent. The tension between Melania and Ivanka escalated into an ongoing rivalry. Employees were irate because Melania's absence gave the appearance of marital troubles, and the government lost her calming influence, which they believed was a result of her absence. Melania maintained her strong status in the White House despite these challenges. She was well known for her cordial demeanor and ability to keep things low-key. Melania Trump shopped for and replaced several Obama-era furnishings during her redecorating of the White House. She seldom appeared in public and usually spoke by video, preferring to stay out of the spotlight. She did, however, conduct a number of events that addressed issues specific to children and women. As part of her involvement with White House events, she oversaw the refurbishment of many rooms and the construction of Barron's soccer net on the White House grounds. The nickname The Protector stuck among Melania's staff because of how First Lady Melania focused on Barron and kept her out of politics. On weekends and holidays, she would often retreat to Mar-a-Lago from her life in the White House's private quarters. While Melania was First Lady, there was much discussion. Many were outraged that her now-defunct jewelry firm was included on the official White House website, claiming that she was using taxpayer money to promote it. In February 2017, she took legal action against the Daily Mail, claiming libel caused by allegations that she had previously worked for an escort agency. The lawsuit was then refocused to focus on emotional hardship rather than lost professional opportunities after inquiries on her expectations of work opportunities as First Lady cast doubt on those hopes. The news of Donald Trump's alleged romance with pornographic actress Stormy Daniels broke early in 2018, and Melania emotionally suffered. Because of this, Melania made fewer public appearances and even made the rare decision, for a First Lady, to ride alone to the State of the Union speech, instead of being accompanied by Donald. Melania spent almost a month in the hospital after a procedure to fix a kidney ailment in May 2018. Despite her apparent improvement and return to work by June, rumors and conspiracy theories flourished during her absence from the spotlight. Midway through 2018, Melania improved her mood after securing a more advantageous prenuptial agreement that ensured Barron's inheritance. Despite ongoing criticism and controversy, she persisted in carrying out her duties as First Lady while also attending to her private life. In addition to attending to her family and private matters, her last years as president were marked by a few significant public events, such as a pilgrimage to the Vatican and the commemoration of International Women's Day. That concludes it. Melania Trump has validated our collective suspicions. However, what does this portend for her and the Trump family's future prospects? Post your opinions in the space provided. If you like this video, please subscribe, like, and click the bell icon to ensure you do not miss any future updates.